Hello again, Activate Athletes, here today to talk to you about the low trap, the mid trap, and the serratus anterior. Three muscles that are a part of the shoulder girdle that help control your shoulder blade throughout its movements, whether that be exercise or for the overhead athlete. These are huge for the overhead athlete. They work as decelerators and active control of that shoulder blade that is necessary for the overhead throwing motion. That is an unnatural motion, and we have to make sure the muscles are stabilizing the scapula appropriately in order to perform at our optimal levels. So starting with the we have the low trapezius and the mid trapezius. There's three parts of the trapezius muscle, the third part being the upper trapezius. That plays a great part in shoulder blade upward rotation as well, as you'll see in the diagram in the video, in the picture-in-picture. But that muscle is oftentimes strong and strong enough. We don't want to isolate strengthening that as much. Obviously there's a circumstance for everything, but today I'm talking to you about the mid trap and the low trap before we move on to the serratus anterior. Alright, so to start with the mid trap strengthening, what I want you to think about is just doing prone T's and prone Y's, and that's something you've seen before. You can do them on a physio ball or on a table that I'm showing you on here. Starting with the prone Y's, EMG studies show that these has some influence on the mid trap, but really great for the low trap. We want to go with our thumb up towards the ceiling, otherwise known as like full can. And you're just elevating like so. You can turn your head away or head towards, and you want to make sure that there's no compensation of shrug as you raise. To look at it in sitting, it would be like this, okay? And that shrug that I'm talking to you about is elevating the shoulder here. But to get the low trap, you want to be face down, prone, and the arm is in the angle or in line with the low trap fibers. To get the mid trap, you do the same type of motion out to the side here. So I'll throw my head away, just going like so. You can also put a towel roll under your forehead, doing T's like that. All right? Those help control your shoulder blade in the upward as they upwardly rotate. All these force vectors are like a pulley, and it's a puppet show. That shoulder blade's moving like a puppet, all right? So a seated banded exercise you can do with that is W's, okay? You're bending your elbows to about 45 degrees, rotating outwards like that, trying to squeeze those shoulder blades down and back, all right? When you're doing this, you want to make sure your core is engaged here, that you're not dumping your pelvis forward and extending your low back. Engage your core here as you do the rotation. So it's like external rotation, but instead of down here at an L or at 90 degrees, you're bent elbows to about 45 degrees, rotating backwards. Additionally, for the serratus anterior, we're looking at upward rotation. Anything that upwardly rotates our shoulder blades as we raise our arm. Notice we don't want to shrug. We're getting too much upper trap in that sense. We want that shoulder blade to rotate along the plane of the thorax or of the rib cage, like so, all right, as you can see in that diagram. And the serratus anterior is the muscle that originates on these first 3 to 8 ribs here and goes to the front of the scapula, between the ribs and the shoulder blade itself, and attaches to the midline, which is closest to the medial border of the scapula, which is closest to the midline. All right. These are serratus raises that I like to do. Arms are body width apart, raising overhead and back down to an L position. So you're going from 90 degrees of elbow bend here, pelvis is tucked, going up and overhead and back down, without any shoulder shrug, as in you're bringing your shoulder closer to your ear. You're just allowing that shoulder blade to go upwards and downwards in a rotational manner within that scapular plane, which is essentially a 45-degree plane out there, 30-degree plane more so. So these are all exercises that help control the kinematics, as they're known as, of the shoulder blade. And these are all lumped into the muscle group of the shoulder girdle. They're not exactly rotator cuff muscles, but they help facilitate the rotator cuff as they control the scapula, which is where the rotator cuff resides. Hope this helps. These are some things to focus on in your training for both overhead athletes and people in general doing overhead lifting. Have a good one.